Hi, and welcome to another community Q&A for the Lightleaders. And today we have Nova. Thank you so much for coming back. We had a really good podcast together a few months ago. If people want to learn more about you first, I would encourage them to watch that episode. And now we have the community Q&A. So thanks for coming back, Nova. And yeah, if people want to learn more, they listen to the whole episode. But for the sake of now, can you do another little intro in 4 minutes about what you stand for, basically?
3-4 minutes.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Condense it all. So my background is in biomedical science and pure science, basically. That's how I grew up. It was the Church of Science. I was destined to become the surgeon, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help people, and that's how I thought I could do it. My mum ended up having, what they call cancer. And I saw her through all the treatments and, spoke to the surgeons and the doctors, and I saw everything from that side. And at the time, even though I thought it was, the best thing out there, I couldn't have a part of it. So that was my first awakening. Basically, I saw some really, really nasty things that I didn't like, that didn't resonate at the time, that, were heartbreaking. And then what I did from there is that, I said, I don't want anything to do with that side of things. So I'm going to go in a different direction. My mum passed 2009, and I'd finished the pre-med, decided to do something else. I went on to do another science degree. I did aviation, did some flight training, got married, and I wanted to have kids. So as that goes along, finished the aviation, had my first boy, and it was during the pregnancy that I really started to get into researching what was best, because that's what we do. We want the best for our kids. So that's what I did. And because I was good at it, because I was a scientist, I just went for it, and I went down the rabbit holes. Not too deep at that point in time, but deep enough to know that, these things aren't that great, no good, don't want them. Started looking into certain things about, other toxicity and even medication and all that side of things, because that's the world that I came from. And so, I had my son, and I was the only one, in my surroundings, basically, that didn't want to have him take the shots. And so that was a big arguments, basically, that had to happen. And so he ended up having a few rounds, because I didn't know enough. I knew, but I didn't know enough. And when I saw the reactions, that's when it was like clear. It took 3 times for me to click that that's what it was on my first son. And I said, over my dead body, nobody is going to touch my kids with any of these things. That's it. We're done. And that's what sent me way down all the other rabbit holes, or up the other rabbit holes, of how do I fix this? The guilt that I felt was so massive. And it wasn't, huge reactions, or, could have been a lot worse, but enough for me to know that, I've done something here. This is not okay. So how do I fix it? Well, that's how I learned all about, regenerative detoxification, and what is our true diet, and, how do I clean people out, all of that. So I just got really obsessed on that and trying to help my son. And that was the beginning. So from then on, I was focusing on him. And then, I started to change over the years, because that was 9 years ago. 9 years ago that I really started to dive deep. And it's just been a transition since. accelerated in the last 4 years. And that's, that's the quick story.
Thank you. Awesome. Can you share a bit what's your diet now also?
Well, right now it's fully raw. I've had periods, I do periods of fasting, and that's juice fasting mainly. I mostly eat fruit, so it's high fruit, fully raw. On occasions, I've had, little bits of cooked here and there in the last 4 years, sometimes more, and that's where I felt the brunt of it. And I've seen what happens at every stage. And I really just thrive and love just being fully raw. So high fruit and fully raw. So high fruit and salads and sushi rolls, nori rolls and things like that. Just the simpler the better, and high fruit. That's key for me, basically.
Okay, thanks. I have a question on that. I was watching with my partner a series of documentaries on Netflix on the blue zones, where it's meant to be where people live 100+ years. And when I saw it, they mainly eat cooked food, actually. It's a lot of beans and sweet potatoes. So I'm wondering, why do you think in the blue zones it's not so much raw food?
I'm not sure what the percentage of what they consume there is either. I know obviously they do have seaweeds, they do have lightly cooked veggies, they must have fruit, and they must have a lot of, from the blue zones that I've looked at, there's one, in Vilcabamba in Ecuador, and that one, they're more in tune with nature as well. So not just diet wise, I guess, they're cleaner, and they're more connected to nature and to each other as a tribe, I guess, and that in itself is massive, as you would know, because it's not just the diet, but the feelings of belonging, the connectedness to others, the less stress, the less cortisol, running through our body. It is a holistic thing. So I guess that's my answer without being, too knowledgeable in exactly what they consume, but that is what I've felt is happening in certain areas, if that makes sense. So even the tribes, tribes in the Amazon, tribes that are less westernized, and again, less processed. So less processed, just closer to nature, even though they're not the most ideal foods as we would see them. They're still far better than other areas in the world and what we consume in other areas.
Yeah, I'd be curious, because it'd be interesting to find places where they have all these, the love and the community and the connection to nature, and where they do a lot of raw, mainly fruits. I don't know if they exist, these places. It'd be interesting to see how these ones are doing.
Yeah, please. Anyone know? Go on there. Let's start one.
This is your questions.
Yeah, I have a question. I have a question about cleansing and detoxification. So how and exactly how did you start it with your kids, the detoxification and cleansing? Is it the same process as with the other your clients, or was a little bit different? If you can share.
Well, yeah, of course. When I started the researching, I was trying everything that I could within reason, because they were little. And because he was little, because the other one wasn't there yet. He was just one. It was easier to have him consume the foods that we're meant to eat. So basically what I did was not juice fasting or anything like that, just smoothie bowls, eating fruit, eating, salads as well, just tomato, cucumber, like fruit salads, that sort of thing, savory fruit salads. I think I had him on some seaweed and other things just to keep him interested. And I remember trying a couple of things because I was still in learning phase. So I remember using TRS spray, which was like a zeolite spray that you put in your mouth. I remember doing that years ago. We tried a couple of those. I don't fully think that it's the main thing that does anything. The diet was something that I saw massive changes with him, because children respond, especially small children, they respond so quickly to, the bad stuff, but also the good stuff. So, they have a more acute response to insult, basically to toxicity. But also when you turn that around and you want to fix things, what I found is that just by giving them, fruit, basically fruit and salads and whatever, he changed so much because his symptoms were, some of them were behavioral and cognitive, not massive for other people to see, but myself, I did. And rashes, a lot of skin rashes. All of those things disappeared. So the behavioral side of things improved massively when he was on that raw, or very, very high raw, because it wasn't perfect either. Going into, his second year of life and third, I tried to maintain it as best I could, considering the family dynamics. When I stuck to, pretty much all fruit and some raw other things for a month, that's when I saw the biggest changes in him, and the rashes were completely gone, and he was just more himself. So it's tricky because family dynamics weren't very helpful with that side of things, as you would know, things change, and then, separation happened, and they got even harder to kind of control that situation. So depends what age the child is, what's happening, and how deep, I guess, you want to go, or they want to go with you. And you don't have to go as deep as an adult. Like I don't do the same thing with my kids that I do with my clients. For me personally, I will wait until they're old enough to make the decision to go deeper with me if they choose to, or with someone else. Or maybe they won't, and that's their decision. So, I guess the more hardcore detox has to wait, in a sense. But you can do so much, even just by changing the diet. It changes a lot in them. So it improves so much. And if that's how you're living, then, that's how they can live as well. Fruits, smoothies, juices, fully raw or very high raw. Sweet. Yeah.
I also think that this is very important. How do you feel, and how you connect with yourself? Because especially mother and the kids, they're so connected, and your energy is so similar than the energy of the kids. And if you feel good, even kids will get better quicker, if you understand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Because we know how diet and symptoms that we have because of our diet and other toxicity affects our mental and emotional, behavioral world. And so when you change all of that and you increase that, vibrational frequency that you have, then everyone and everything around you especially those closest to you, they benefit massively. I mean, they're elevated. So I noticed that with my kids and my parenting, my patience. I had zero patience. Zero. I was not a patient person. I would say I wasn't, I won't say that I wasn't a good mum, but oh my God, the difference. Because I'm more calm, I'm just more relaxed, I'm more present, like actually present, not just there, present. I have just an ease. And yeah, they're tough. I've got two boys and they're at each other all the time. And they're the most testing humans on the planet for me. And I love it because I get to practice in the hardest arena every day. And if it wasn't for the way that I eat and the way that I feel, I mean, that's why people drink. That's why people go and do whatever they do. I don't blame them. It's hard. I bet, I
In a
mean, I'm sure
vacation,
yeah.
so many ways, right? I mean, in different degrees, some are like more hardcore, like the drugs and drinking a lot, but then even TV, cooked food,
Whatever.
like
Yeah.
let's
Emotional
say
eating.
not just to blame cooked food, let's say heavy foods and like so many social media, so many ways to numb ourselves. And
That's it. It's the numbing. It's the trying to escape what's actually happening in front of you in the mirror, the so-called mirror.
we all do it to a certain degree. I know when I numb myself, even with eating more fruits, it doesn't work as well as if I was having a burger, but it's still, there's still like, addiction is like, you can go very subtle. You can go into,
Oh yeah.
sometimes when you eat even clean food, like sometimes I can work out almost as an addiction, work, this addiction to thoughts, just a lot of more subtle layers to.
Yeah, there's all the levels and the subtle, even yeah, as you said, even
I'm
just
curious
in the
because
raw
you talked
foods.
about,
Sorry?
and yes, I think we have a bit of delay, but I'm
Yeah.
curious because you talked about detox and cellular regeneration. If you have one or a few really top mentors, maybe you studied deep with.
Dr. Robert Morse, number one. John Rose, also number one. um, I love the works of, Arnold Ehret, obviously. And there's a few others that I've listened to. The Life Regenerator was one that I listened to years ago. That's who I started listening to. Yeah, those are the main ones. Dr. Robert Morris and John Rose are probably my biggest, most aligned, I guess, mentors, gurus.
Did you learn from just listening to them, or I mean, did you go into like a program? For example, I know Dr. Morse, he has online programs for detox, like level 1, level 2, and
Yeah.
many others. I was wondering if you had done one of these because I'm considering it too.
Yeah, no, highly recommend. I've done the lymphatic iridology. I didn't quite finish it. And apart from that, no, I've done all of my own research. So, that's how I roll because that's how I was taught by university. And yeah, it's all just own research from the years. Absolutely inhaling everything they put out.
Has the lymphatic iridology, because that's a course I was thinking of taking, and do you think it's okay to take without taking his level 1?
Yeah, so I didn't take his level 1 because I had done so much, pre-med and read his book and understood everything because I had that background already. So it was a shift in the knowledge that I had to do. And yeah, I thought I'm not going to do level 1. I'm going to do lymphatic iridology because that's something that I need. And perhaps I'll go back and do maybe level 1 and 2, or maybe 2. I'm definitely going to go through through more of his school, because it's just getting more and more amazing.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
highly recommend.
Yeah, I really like the iridiology. I'm considering it too, because I feel it is such a bridge, especially for someone like you, but I guess all of us who also like using the mind and the science, between a lot of the raw foods is about how you feel, and sometimes we even question the standard blood tests and what is normal and what is right, what is wrong, in that more, let's say, matrixy way to look at health results. However, iridiology helps. For me, it's been revealing to do it, be on raw foods, do it 2 years later, and there's something about looking at how it changed in the eye that really was a very strong proof to me that I was on the right track. So that's something people need, I feel, in our world today. We want proof, we want things that are tangible, and we often a little bit disconnected from how we feel. So having this on paper is really helpful.
Yeah, definitely. I love how you said that, because for me it was visible as well. And I like that science, let's say, because I don't align with the parameters that are used, just as you explained, with blood testing and and all those other medical tests, which even naturopathic testing do the same thing. I really don't feel it's that necessary for the vast majority of people, if not all. Because once you understand, and you understand how to what's happening in the vessel over time to to accumulate the toxic load, basically, then, and how to clear it, then there's not much use, to be honest, in my opinion. This is my opinion, of going deep into the medical world again. I mean, that's where I came from. I find it so so useless, to be honest. A lot of it is so useless and just egotistical, jargon that confuses everyone, and doesn't really give the right results. What are you looking for? As you said, where are you looking? Why are you looking there? There's other places you can look for what's going on and how it's progressing. And the eyes is one of them. How you feel is the other one. What the visible changes externally and internally, behavioral changes, all of those things that probably aren't as, I guess, as tangible, but are the most important ones, so.
Yeah, I love how you put it. And when you talk about medicine, my perception of it is it creates its own maze that's like really complicated, but then when you get out of it, there was no point. And in the naturopathy, we can have some of that, and even in regenerative kind of alternative medicine. And there's something I really like with the approach of raw foods and being simple, and that's where I'm at the moment, doing a lot of raw, a lot of fruits. If I want to cleanse, more water fasting than going with crazy protocols with the turpentine or whatever. But with Dr. Morse, that's actually a question mark I have sometimes, which is there's also a little bit of that really specialized maze type of, this condition with this herb, this one with this herb. And I don't really know, he has so much more knowledge than me, but I'm curious, what is your opinion on that almost more medical approach of treating this with this and treating this different symptom with this, versus the more Arnold Ehret type of approach, where it's like, maybe too simple, every disease is congestion, so you just want to cleanse the body and it's going to solve everything. What's your thoughts on that? As I know you love Dr. Morse, and for me, it's something where I'm still like, is that
I know
application for maybe the business, maybe for giving courses?
I love that. I actually got full goosebumps when you mentioned, you know, what Arnold Ehret says, and I agree with Arnold Ehret in that way. And I think John Rose as well, and Dr. Morse, the all three of them are very much aligned in that sense. I must say that herbs help massively, but in saying that, they're not all in all. Not everybody requires, you know, all these herbs. Herbs can, I do see I guess the way that I understand it and have seen it and experienced it is that they just assist in the moving of the energetics, I guess, of the blood, the nerve, and the lymph, and therefore assist with elimination and regeneration. So I see everything as, you know, and I always talk about it as just frequency and vibration, and herbs, I see them in the same way as certain fruits or you know, other things that you may use to assist the body in the process of eliminating the accumulated gunk and toxicity, which is exactly what Arnold Ehret speaks about. You know, it's just an assisting, it's a tool, let's say. So I have done a lot of herbs over the years, different ones. I've recommended different ones to different people. I've also done it without any herbs myself. I've done it without any herbs with other people that just I haven't given, you know, I haven't advised any herbs except for maybe a couple here and there. And in saying that, I really feel that it's something that you can use as an added bonus, as a tool again, just like we would use an enema kit, just like we would use I don't know, lemon, you know, lemon juice and things like that. Herbs can be beneficial and are beneficial for most of us in assisting in accelerating perhaps the elimination, and therefore because you're accelerating the elimination or you're assisting that, you're assisting the healing, because that's what the body does naturally. As you eliminate the junk, the body just heals itself. It's not the herb that heals, it's not the fruit that heals, because we all know that it's the fasting, it's the not doing anything, it's the getting rid of gunk. And when you get rid of the gunk, the cell just regenerates. That's what the body wants to do. So coming back to the herbs, do I feel that you need a million herbs? If you're if you've got stage 4 cancer, I would do it. That's what I would do. I would do everything, all of it. That's what I would do. That's what I would recommend. For anything that's not as degenerative, that's, you know, not as not as degenerative, you can play with, you know, less herbs, you know, more fasting, more fruits and salads, and then periods of fasting, and you can do it in so many different ways when you're not, your life is literally not on that line of, okay, it's now or never, so, you know, I better get onto the other side real fast, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So in saying that, I'll add something else to the herbs, because I use some tinctures, but what I've focused on, this is what I've come to with my clients and myself over the last few years, testing on myself and the clients that have gone through my missions. I was heavier on the herbs, on individual herbs and formulas and so on, along with, you know, fasting and raw foods and so on. I've come to the point where I'm more aligned with less is more for most people. And I do use herbs, but it's a concoction of herbs that you drink. And it helps you eliminate a lot faster. It pulls things out. So it's kind of like the GI broom that Dr. Morse has, but it's just a different brand that has like 40 herbs and roots in it. There's no isolates or anything like that. It's just that. So I use that. I use fasting and lemon juice.
Is it Zen Cleanse?
So no. It's called Quenda Ultimate Fiber. And it sounds like it's just this fiber concoction, but there's a reason for that. So they had to pull off the labels and so on, or they were change the name of the actual product and make no claims, because it's actually quite a magical bunch of herbs put together that pulls a lot of stuff out. So I've seen a lot of things come out with those three things: fasting, lemon, and that bunch of herbs that you just take drinking every day. From stones to all the parasites, mucus of every kind, old gunk, the mucoid plaquing, everything and anything. It just helps pull it through. So that's why.
Zizi, I saw you have a hand raised, but I just want to ask a little something like really specifically on this, which is because here I've taken things like Zen Cleanse, or I think similar to GI Broom, which is quite a thick thing that you drink and that cleans, that help concoction or something. Is it is it something also quite thick? Because when it's quite thick, I often have the suspicion that it might be more of the product that is the claim that it's mucoid plaques. So if I drink a tea, for example, and I get something really thick, I'll be like, okay, that really worked. So what's the consistency of the one you take?
Yeah. So and this is a valid question. This is a question that I've looked into as well, because it does thicken. But you can see the difference when you're fasting over an extended period of time and all you're having is liquid, and that bunch of herbs that has the psyllium husk that does thicken when it's inside, obviously, but that's the whole broom. You can see the difference of what's coming out. What's got the Quenda blob, let's call it, the blob of that stuff, which pulls things, so it's mixed with other things, but the mucoid plaque comes out on its own. It does. And the stones come out. I have not experienced stones come out, or sulfur come out, or other things like chemicals, like actual chemicals from hair products and things like that, perms and that you can smell. I haven't experienced that without using it. So use it without using those herbs. I'm sure that it would happen eventually in time if you just keep going down, up that path of, fasting and eating just the right foods and then fasting again. I'm sure the body will always eliminate. This is just about accelerating those periods of fasting and removal. And that's all it is, basically. But you can tell the difference, because this is something that I see myself, I've seen, and I see it, we talk with my clients on the missions that they do for 3-4 months. And they end up knowing, what's coming out, what is the actual blob and what that looks like, and what other things that come out look like, and what it pulls, because that's the important thing. What else does it pull? Even if it were all that psyllium husk thing, all that blob coming out every time, even if it was just that, it's pulling chemicals with it because you can smell it. You can see it. There's sulfur coming out. There's stones. You wouldn't see that unless you're doing, you know, those protocols. I used to have those protocols, which Dr. Morse have and most others, with the oil and the grapefruit and so on, just to get stones out. But you don't even need that. It's quite interesting. There's no need for pulling oil in there, which is great because it never aligned with me. So there's you know, there's different ways of doing it, but it's all about accelerating or slowing things down. And some people don't want to do it fast, and that's fine. You've got all the time in the world to transition, you know, and that's Arnold Ehret's way, transition, and do things over time and slowly, or you can accelerate the parts of, you know, fasting and elimination to help the body. And that's how I see it. Even if you are transitioning, but you don't have to transition for that long, because as you clear so quickly, it's not that quick, but, you know, quicker than you would just fasting, you are actually removing so much of the density of the parasites, of the chemicals, and of all of the things that have been keeping you in the lower vibration on every level, and have kept you with the cravings and all of those things as well, right? The attachments, the habits, all those things, they dissipate so much quicker. So that's what I love about that. You know, just accelerating that, even if just for short periods, you know, short bursts, and having, you know, other methods or other levels of detox, meaning fruits, juices, smoothies, fully raw, and then doing another period of fasting and cleansing, in the same way that, you know, most of us understand that that's how we need to kind of go for a few years to, you know, come back to our divine blueprint, basically. Yeah, don't know if that makes sense.
Thank you. I have a similar question about the supplements. What are your thoughts? And do you take any, or it was time in the past that you take some supplements? What are your thoughts about that? Because it's interesting thing.
It's a really good subject. In when you talk about supplements, which ones are you kind of referring to? Because are you referring to isolate chemistry, basically? So taking iron or taking zinc or taking
Yeah, like
B12 or
maybe vitamins, minerals, or maybe
yeah,
fatty acids and so on. Yeah, but natural things, of course.
yeah. For me, I don't take and I don't recommend anything that is not in its full divine, I guess, chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when I said, you know, my protocol is, you know, the raw foods or the juice
Yep.
fasting and the fruits or whatever it is, right? Just the diet aspect is number one, which is whole food raw, or juicing, lemon juice, and the herbal concoction, which you could say is a supplement, but it's actually, for me, it's not a supplement because it's just herbs and roots only made into a powder. So there's no isolate chemistry. By isolate chemistry, I mean it's been, you know, pulled apart in the lab. So you're taking a different you're taking different chemistry just because you're pulling apart, say, iron out of its divine natural composition in the food that it would be in, you know. So why take it in an isolate form and quantities and in a way that is not recognizable by the body, that we cannot, we're playing God here, right? When we can actually just address the reason why you would have deficiencies in the first place, which is just an accumulation of toxicity and gunk, mucus, all of that, you know, going back to Arnold Ehret. That's all it is. So when we remove all of that, there cannot be deficiencies because there is a regeneration of those organs, glands, tissues, systems that will be functioning at their optimum to absorb whatever needs to be absorbed. And we can, discuss the levels of what do we actually need when we are the alchemist, really. The clearer you get and the more able your body is to the more able your body is to is to really, it's just more fine-tuned, if that makes sense, to change chemistry with inside you and produce what you need, because again, the parameters of which we think we think we're low in this, or we're that's another aspect of the medical system itself. What is it that we truly need? Do we really need that much iron and this and that? Really? So for me, clearing the body is number one, and focusing on that and consuming, quality fruits and herbs. Herbs, I mean, like herbs from the garden, not necessarily always herbs that you're trying to take to help detox, but just herbs from the garden, seaweeds, things like that you can use the whole plant or the whole fruit or the whole whatever it is, the whole vegetable, the whole root of something, instead of using the isolated compound, because you're not addressing the reason why you may be deficient, if that makes sense. So the other thing that happens when you take isolate chemistry, apart from it not being what we should be, what we should consume, I guess, what is resonant to our body, what is absorbable truly, right? Because it's no longer in its divine composition. I was looking for another word, but I can't find it. So big composition, or percentage and bonds and so on, it's chemistry, it's full chemistry. And you take, say, a good amount of magnesium every day. It's what chemistry do you think you're throwing out inside you by actually putting that into your body? So you might be magnesium deficient, but by taking magnesium, that is not really recognizable either, and in quantities that should not be in there coming into your body, it's going to throw the chemistry out of balance even further, long term. So that's what I mean by we're playing God here. Like, what is the point when really, when it comes down to it, it's the reason why we're deficient in something is because we're full of gunk. We're just full of gunk. And as we clear that and just consume, electromagnetic foods, those high electricity foods that we should be consuming, then that's all we really need. Things will change over time, and they might look like this. And that's where people freak out, because you're going up and then, I feel like, something's not right or whatever. But that's because there's so much going on in the body, on this journey of actually removing so many layers of gunk and toxic compounds that begin to dissolve and recirculate inside you, and you're back to square one to when you actually took it in the first place, and you feel like crap, or you've got the symptom associated, you've got some rashes coming out, you've got all kinds of things, headaches, mood swings, anger, all kinds of things. So I just went on a tangent there, a really, really cool tangent there. Supplements, no.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It makes sense.
People,
it makes sense. Yeah, I agree, because we all have to clean our body, and when our body is really clean, then the less is more. But before that, it's really hard, and sometimes for some people that they don't want to do a big change, Sometimes supplements are a shortcut, and even supplements sometimes help, but we have so much different things that it's hard to say now to talk about that. But in general, yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
Our
Yeah,
body is
well,
amazing. Our body is perfect, and it can do anything you want, but it has to be clean.
we are. I agree, and it is tough because, you know, the way that we've degenerated as a species um is quite massive. And so it's easy to say what I'm saying. It's easy to just say, oh, we all just have to, you know, fast and get rid of all of the junk and the gunk and the chemicals and all the things that have accumulated inside us, and just eating fruits and some, you know, and some veggies and so on, is we're all going to be absolutely perfect. It doesn't always look like that. It's not as easy as it sounds. And it's because we've done so much damage collectively to our genetics, our composition, our bodies, in general, you know, and some more than others. Some family lines have more degeneration, you know, than others. And so, yeah, it is tough. So I feel for them, and I don't blame people that, you know, that find it hard and want to use different, you know, stimulants or things like that, because it gets rough. It can get rough. You know, there's a lot of weaknesses now in our bodies. But in saying that, the answer still remains the same. And you can still turn it around. It's just, it is hard, and it can take longer for certain people. And that's why, you know, I don't want to disencourage. Is that even a word? My brain. Disencourage.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't want to make it like, you know, I don't want to put that down. But it's something that needs to be talked about, because not everyone will find it as easy as that. And, you know, the low energy is the biggest one that can happen a lot on this journey, because our adrenal glands are so messed up collectively. You know, our glandular system has suffered a lot over the generations, and it can take, you know, some time and work to get things back online, to get things switched on again, because it's an electrical circuit and things need to be clean. And you know, there's got to be that spark going on. And yeah, but I still see it as the path that must be taken anyway. So whether you do a little bit of, you know, this or that on the journey, that's what has to happen, I guess. If, you know, for everyone it's going to be different, and for some it's easier than others. That's just how it is.
Thank you. Another question, Alex. Okay, is it okay?
Yeah.
I'm interested in. Are you interested in sport? Do you have some special movement, maybe yoga or something else? Where do you find yourself? How do you uh,
Move
expend
the
your
body.
energy? Yeah. How do you
Yeah,
move your
yeah,
body?
yeah. Hot yoga. I actually did hot yoga just before this. I went and did hot
Ah,
yoga. I
hot
love it
yoga.
because
You said
yeah,
hot
hot
yoga.
yoga.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know hot yoga. I
So
tried.
yeah, yoga in a sauna basically. So you're sweating like crazy, and there's a lot of discipline and focus and practice of the breath, and it's a moving meditation for me now. A lot comes through when I'm in there, but my body's also getting some real good pumping, the lymph, the circulation, everything. My kidneys and my adrenals love it, because there's a lot of backbending as well, which, you know, most sports, I love, you know, sports. I've always loved sports. I love being active, hiking, moving, whatever it is, I love doing it, not watching it, doing it. And there's not many that include the movements of the spine in all directions. And that's why, at least I know that I need to be doing yoga several times a week as much as possible, because it moves your spine in every direction. So, it's massive. People don't realize just how massive that is for everyday life, to assist in detoxification, because you're compressing and you're moving energy in those centers that are at the back, right? You're squeezing and then releasing. Kidneys, adrenals, and all these different areas, even the liver, by doing side movements and twisting the organs and so on. So definitely that one. And I do now recommend that to my long-term clients, to anyone. I'm like, it's definitely something that you will benefit from. And apart from that, I love water sports and kayaking. I try to surf. I'm trying whenever I can. I was a gymnast for many years, so I've always been, into sports. Just, whatever, I'll do it, play a bit of soccer, play a bit of this. Nothing serious in the sense, but definitely for fun, volleyball, whatever. I'll get into it. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to say that my ex-girlfriend is an instructor of hot yoga. So I tried some really nice.
How did you go?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, but I was only 5 times maybe, but it was great. Yeah. 35 degrees like this, and doing yoga.
He's testing. Have you tried, Alex?
No, not yet, surprisingly.
Aha.
A lot of yoga, but never the Bikram.
Yeah. There's also not just Bikram in the hot room, but you can also find studios that do vinyasa and hatha and yin in the hot room. So it's great. Not just Bikram, obviously.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's a center in Ubud that does it, so I might try this one.
Yeah, let me know how you go.
Yeah, thank you, Nova. That was really cool, and we can do another session another time. But yeah, that was really nice to connect a little bit more. We can do. Do you have a last question, Zizi?
I think this was the last question, and I'm also in a hurry now. I have only 10 minutes. But I'm really grateful to know you, Nova. And Nova in our language means new.
Yeah.
New.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. It means new in a few languages, but
Yeah.
it was meant to be from supernova, so it's
Okay.
okay.
Is that your real
I'll
name?
take it. Nova.
Yeah, it is. Was that your original name, or did you change?
No, me.
Nova.
Yeah, that's my name. That's the name that I was given. Nova. Yeah. It was such a pleasure. Thanks, Alex, and thanks, Zizi. Such a pleasure to connect.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Much love.
Have a beautiful
Much
day.
love.
Bye. Bye.